The country club revelation. The country club lunch was Mom's idea. She'd been insisting on it for weeks, calling every few days with her practiced sweetness. "You need to network properly, Alexandra," she'd said on the phone. "Meet people who can help you find a real career." A real career. That phrase again. I was 31 years old, running a sustainable fashion brand that I had built from scratch, from late nights cutting patterns on my apartment floor to managing a full design and manufacturing team overseas. But in Mom's world, unless you had a polished title at a Fortune 500 company, you were unemployed. So, I showed up at the country club in my usual uniform, vintage Levi's, a soft gray hoodie, and white sneakers, comfortable, functional, the same outfit I wore while testing fabrics, sketching designs, or reviewing production samples. My wardrobe wasn't meant to impress, it was meant to work. When Mom saw me at the entrance, her expression froze. "That's what you're wearing?" She said it quietly, but her voice cut through the clinking of glasses and low chatter of the dining room. Around us, women in pastel Chanel suits and sparkling jewelry turned to look. "Yes," I said simply. Her eyes darted around the room. "Alexandra, this is a professional lunch. I'm comfortable. You look homeless." I didn't reply. I'd learned long ago that fashion, to my mother, wasn't about self-expression or ethics, it was about signaling wealth. She measured success in handbags and brand names. I measured it in impact and integrity. We approached the table where her friends were already seated: Catherine Ashford, the poised president of the Junior League; Diana Morrison, whose husband owned a chain of luxury car dealerships; and Patricia Chin, a corporate lawyer who'd built a reputation on quiet ruthlessness. "Ladies," Mom said with a smile that was all performance, "this is my daughter, Alexandra." Then, almost apologetically, she added, "She's between opportunities right now." I smiled politely. "I run my own company." "Oh, yes," Mom said, waving a manicured hand. "Her little clothing venture. She makes dresses in her apartment." "I design sustainable fashion," I said evenly. "We manufacture ethically in Portugal and Guatemala." Catherine smiled with the kind of patronizing grace only wealth can perfect. "How nice. A hobby business." "It's not a hobby." "Of course not, dear," she replied, already looking away. Diana leaned forward. "My husband's company is always looking for administrative assistants. You'd get great exposure to real corporate structure." I took a sip of water and didn't bother responding. Mom sighed, as if this all confirmed her point. Alexandra had such promise. She went to Parsons, graduated top of her class. We thought she'd work for Ralph Lauren or Oscar de la Renta. Instead, she's been struggling for years with this startup that hasn't gone anywhere. "We did $4.7 million in revenue last year," I said. Mom laughed. The brittle, glassy sound of someone trying to control a narrative. "Alexandra, don't exaggerate. You work out of your apartment." "I work out of a 12,000 square foot studio in Brooklyn," I said calmly. "We have 34 employees." Patricia raised an eyebrow. "That's impressive for a small operation." Mom cut in quickly. "It's not sustainable. She's burning through her savings. I keep telling her to apply for a real job. She could be an assistant buyer somewhere." I could have argued. I could have told them about the investors who'd approached me and whom I'd turned down because I refused to compromise my ethical standards. But what was the point? They didn't want facts. They wanted affirmation that their worldview was still intact. I let them talk. As they continued discussing real jobs and stability, my mind wandered back to how this all began, to the moment I realized I couldn't stay in traditional fashion. I'd seen firsthand how wasteful it was. Thousands of unsold garments burned or dumped, underpaid workers in unsafe factories, marketing campaigns built on hypocrisy. So, I started my own label. 10 pieces, organic cotton, dead stock fabrics. I sold them through Instagram, sewing every piece myself at night and packing orders on my kitchen floor. The first year, I made $23,000 in sales and barely $8,000 in profit. Mom had called it playing dress up. But I kept going. Year 2, $180,000 in sales. Year 3, $890,000. Year 4, $2, $1 million. Year 5, $3, $8 million. Year 6, just finished, $4. 7 million. 32% profit margin. Fully ethical supply chain. Zero debt. None of that mattered to Mom, not because she didn't know, but because she didn't want to. The problem, Catherine was saying, is that young people today don't value stability. They want instant success. Exactly. Mom agreed. Alexandra never learned patience. I'd been patient. For 6 years. Patient through self-doubt, investor rejections, sleepless nights, and every version of, "you're wasting your potential," my mother could invent. Then Diana smiled sweetly. My daughter had that phase too. She wanted to be a photographer. We convinced her to go to law school instead. She's much happier now. Mom nodded approvingly. That's what I keep telling Alexandra, find something stable. Maybe in 10 years, when you're financially secure, she can play with her little brand as a side project. I am financially secure, I said softly. Mom laughed again, sharp and dismissive. Darling, you work out of your apartment. I work out of a studio, a 12,000 square foot studio that I own. I bought the building last year. The table fell silent. You bought a building? Patricia asked, intrigued. In Brooklyn, a converted textile factory. We use the first 2 floors for production. I'm renovating the upper floors into a showroom. Mom blinked, then smiled tightly. Alexandra, this fantasy is getting concerning. You can't just claim to own buildings. I'm not claiming. I own it. Paid 40% down. Mortgage for the rest. That's ridiculous. Mom snapped. Where would you even get that kind of money? This is exactly what I mean, the delusions, the lies. I set my glass down gently. I'm not lying. Diana tilted her head. Then show us proof. Surely, if you bought a building, you'd have documentation. I could have shown them everything. I had the deed, the mortgage statements, photos of the studio, my name on the ownership papers. But I'd learned something. People who were invested in your failure didn't want proof of your success. They wanted to keep their version of you, the struggling dreamer, the failure, intact. Believe what you want, I said simply. Mom shook her head. See? She can't back it up. I've been worried for years. She's detached from reality. Then a voice interrupted from behind us. Mrs. Ashford? A young woman stood there, maybe in her early 20s, wearing a cream blazer, one of mine, from last spring's collection. I'm so sorry to interrupt, she said breathlessly, but I had to say, your daughter's work is incredible. I've been following her brand for 3 years. I'm actually wearing one of her pieces right now. She gestured to the blazer. Retail price, $485. Sold out in 48 hours. Mom blinked. You know Alexandra? Everyone in fashion knows Alexandra Ashford, the girl said, glowing. She's changing everything about sustainable design. I'm studying fashion at Parsons, and we analyze her supply chain in our ethics course. The table went silent. The girl turned to me shyly. I'm Emma. I've applied to intern with your company 3 times. I just wanted to say your work inspires me every day. I smiled. Thank you, Emma. Email me your portfolio directly. We're always looking for passionate people. Her face lit up. Really? Oh my God. Thank you. She left, still beaming, leaving behind an awkward, heavy silence. Patricia was the first to speak. She has a following, she murmured, scrolling on her phone. 280,000 Instagram followers. And, oh, here's an article in Business of Fashion. The Quiet Revolutionary Reshaping Sustainable Luxury. Mom snatched the phone, reading silently. Her face tightened. This says your company is valued at $15 million. That was last year's estimate, I said. We're projecting $8 million in revenue this year. The valuation's probably higher now. 8 million? Diana repeated, her voice unsteady. In revenue, about $2. 5 million in profit after payroll. The table was silent again. Even Mom looked momentarily lost. Then she said the one thing she could still control. If all that's true, why do you dress like that? I looked down at my hoodie, smiled faintly. Because comfort and purpose matter more to me than appearances. I spend my days working with fabrics and patterns. I don't need to prove anything with a designer label. Catherine was still scrolling. Wait, there's something else. Vogue. There's a preview of next month's cover. She turned her phone toward the table. There I was, on the cover of Vogue. Standing in my studio, surrounded by fabric rolls and dress forms, wearing one of my own designs, a tailored organic cotton blazer and wide leg trousers, my hair pulled back, minimal makeup, gaze direct. The headline read, "The New Guard, Women Rebuilding Fashion from the Ground Up." Silence fell again, deeper this time. Mom's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. That's you. Alexandra Ashford and the Sustainable Luxury Revolution." Mom's face had gone completely pale. Her manicured fingers trembled around the stem of her wine glass as Catherine's phone displayed my face, the Vogue cover, for the entire table to see. That's you," Diana whispered, her voice barely audible. "One of 6 covers," I said softly. "They shot 6 different women for this issue. Mine is the sustainability-focused one." Catherine blinked twice. "You mean, the actual cover? Like, Vogue? "Yes," I said. "The issue releases next week. The editorial team contacted me months ago. They've been following my company since January." Patricia, still scrolling, read aloud. "The article says you're one of the most influential designers under 40. It calls your business model, the future of ethical fashion." Around us, the clinking of silverware and polite laughter from other tables faded. The air grew still, like everyone sensed something significant had just shifted. Mom hadn't moved. Her eyes were locked on Catherine's phone as if she couldn't reconcile the woman in the photo, poised, confident, in one of my own designs, with the daughter sitting in front of her wearing a gray hoodie and vintage jeans. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked finally. "I did," I said evenly. 4 months ago, when Vogue first reached out. You said it must be a scam, that Vogue wouldn't feature a hobby business. I don't remember saying that. You also told me the photo shoot was probably for a fake online blog pretending to be Vogue." Her mouth opened, then closed. I could almost see the memories forming behind her eyes, the condescending laughter, the offhand comments, the disbelief she had cloaked as concern. "Mom, I've been trying to tell you about my company's success for 6 years," I continued quietly. "Every time, you dismissed me. You told your friends I was between jobs. You offered to get me interviews as someone's assistant. You've never once visited my studio or even asked to see what I've built. But you never showed me proof," she whispered weakly. "You never wanted to see proof," I said. "You decided I was failing. And once you did, no amount of truth mattered." Catherine set her phone down carefully, guilt softening her elegant features. "I think I owe you an apology," she said. "We all do," I replied, my voice calm but steady. "You believed a story that wasn't based on facts, just Mom's version of who she thought I should be." Mom's hands trembled as she reached for her napkin. "I was trying to protect you," she said. "I didn't want you wasting your life on something uncertain. I didn't want you to be disappointed. So instead of supporting me, you humiliated me," I said quietly. "You told everyone I was struggling. You acted embarrassed to introduce me. I didn't know. You didn't ask," I said. "You saw me dressed simply, without designer labels, and assumed I was failing. You never stopped to consider that maybe I was choosing to live and work differently, that maybe I was building something bigger than you imagined." Diana's phone buzzed. She looked down, then up at me with wide eyes. "Alexandra, your cover's gone viral. My daughter just texted me, it's everywhere. Social media's exploding." Patricia scrolled through her phone again. "The article's incredible. There are photos of your Brooklyn studio, your team, even the factories in Portugal. They wrote about your transparent supply chain, your fair wage initiatives." Catherine interrupted, reading aloud from her screen. "My mother thought I was failing because I chose purpose over prestige. I built a multi-million-dollar company while she told people I was unemployed. Success doesn't always look the way people expect it to." Mom's breath caught. "You said that to Vogue?" "I did," I said. "They asked about my biggest obstacles. I answered honestly. You made me sound cruel." "I didn't make you sound anything," I replied. "I told the truth. You spent 6 years treating me like a failure. That's not cruelty. It's just reality." The silence at the table was thick enough to drown in. Women at nearby tables were whispering, glancing our way, phones discreetly raised. 2 of them, strangers, approached hesitantly. "Excuse me," one said, smiling nervously. "We just wanted to say, we love your work." We've been following your brand since 2021. Can we take a picture?